Hi and welcome today. Thank you for listening. My name is Emma Farquharson and I am one of the teaching fellows here at Brunel University. I teach on the programme and I specialise in musculoskeletal physiotherapy, so back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, those types of conditions. And I also am one of the admissions tutors along with Pam Shires. So I deal with any of the applications for under 21s and Pam deals with mature students. So if you have any specific questions, please get in touch with us. I also work clinically, so I work within the military and I deal with lower limb injuries. And like a lot of the staff here, we are either still clinical or we actually work in research as well, which means that we're up to date and hopefully teaching you the best new evidence. I'm going to show you just a little bit about Brunel and why we think it's great. One of the first things really is our location. We are based in the west of London in Uxbridge, and you can see from the map we're just within the M25. We're about a 20-minute walk from Uxbridge with its cinemas and shops and restaurants, and also the tube station that can take you into the centre of London. We're on the Metropolitan and the Piccadilly lines. It takes about 30 minutes, so if you wanted to at the weekends head off into town and go shopping, you can do. And I'm sure our student Alex will be telling you a bit more about life around Uxbridge in a minute. But it's really a great location if you wanted to head into town. We're also very close to Heathrow Airport, so if you're an international student wanting to go home, you can easily get to the airport in about 15 minutes in a cab. Or if you're fortunate enough to be able to go away in the holidays and take advantage of the location. These are our facilities, so I've just got a few pictures up there. That's me on the top right picture. I'm actually in one of our purpose-built tutorial rooms. You can see that we've got all the equipment that you would need to practice physiotherapy with our plinths, our smart boards, and anything else you might need to help models and skeletons and such like. The Mary Seacole building you can see on the left-hand side is shared with occupational therapy, and you will also have some teaching along with other professions. The central picture there you can see is the Mary Seacole building on the inside, and you have the Atrium, which is a really nice space for you if you want to actually do some study between tutorials or actually just sit down and have a chat with your friends. There's some nice comfy sofas, you can sit down and just use your time before your next lecture or tutorial. But I would say that the majority of your teaching will actually occur in this building. But the most important thing, and when you're trying to decide on where you want to go to university, is really what the students think. And that's what we do with the National Student Survey. Students are questioned each year on teaching, learning opportunities, assessment and feedback, the academic support they receive, their learning resources, and their overall satisfaction and more. Now, Brunel Physiotherapy has consistently ranked #1 in London, and we are consistently ranked in the upper quartile within the UK. So it's not just the staff that think it's a good course, but actually the feedback we're getting from students is also saying the same thing. So how do we deal with that information? Well, we celebrate our success, and every year over the past few years we've had a fun day for the National Student Survey results. And these are just some of the pictures. We had on the top left a race where we had to do running around campus, collecting lots of different bits of information. We had sucking up Smarties and trying to move them from one location to the other. We had a Play-Doh challenge where we had to create the best Play-Doh. So we've got there some, I think it's an arm it's meant to be on that diagram, but it's really a lot of fun with staff and students, and I think that's something that we're really about as a course. But essentially what we're trying to do in physiotherapy is prepare you for going out and actually working. And that's where our clinical education comes in. All our students will have to complete 1,000 hours of clinical placement. These are hours within a hospital, clinic, it could be a private clinic, within the community, or possibly within sports clubs. And you will be under the supervision of a clinical physiotherapist. We split them up into 5 placements which are 6 weeks long, and we've decided here at Brunel that you shouldn't start them until year 2. Now that's something that we have decided because we feel it's really important that students actually have the basic knowledge and skills to be able to go out on placement and perform well, and we want you to be fully prepared before you go out there. Now, some of the hospitals that we send our students to are some of the large London teaching hospitals. We have placements at King's College, St Thomas's, Barts, some within the military and some within sports clubs. So there's a real variety of placements. Partly we get these placements because of our location being so close to London, but also because our teaching staff have worked in many of these hospitals and locations and therefore have great links and can get our students in there. But I'm sure what you want to know is how our students get on. This graph here shows you the ratings of our students, the grades that our students get on their last placement. And in the last year, it was 98% of our Brunel students on their last placement were either rated as excellent or very good. So this shows you that actually our students, when they're going out on placement, are prepared to do the job, and by the time that they finish and get to their final placement, they're ready to go out and actually work as a physiotherapist. But it's not all just about study. We've put up elite sports here because physiotherapy often attracts sports people, but whether it's drama, music, anything else that you're into, you can actually manage to combine it with your studies. We've got a few of our past students here. So in the top left you have Emma Pallant, who actually came first in the World Duathlon Championships in 2016. And then we have Katrina, who's in the green in the middle there at the bottom, who's an Olympic level sprinter, and she was part of the Irish team. She also came top student of the year. So she was very skilled in actually combining her studies and her sport. So another thing that I imagine that you would be wondering is what happens when you finish the course. Well, we've had a look at our stats from last year, and actually within 6 months, 100% of our graduates were within employment, or they had gone into further education. Now, these are some of the hospitals that people have gone to work in, and you can see that these are lots of the large London teaching hospitals. But we also have students that have decided that they want to go into sports, working for Harlequins and Chelsea Football Club, but also those that maybe wanted to travel the world and have gone off to Canada, France, and lots of different countries. So there are lots and lots of opportunities for you once you graduate from Brunel. If you want to know more, please have a look at our Facebook page. If you look at Physiotherapy at Brunel University, you can like us there and follow what we're up to. There are lots of videos and photos up there and general activities that we get up to on the course. You can also have a look at Brunel University London on Twitter or on Instagram. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm now going to hand you over to Alex, who's one of our physiotherapy students, and is going to tell you a bit about his experiences here at Brunel.
Hello everyone, let me just get the slide. So I'm going to talk about my life as a Brunel student. So I'll start with a bit about me. My name is Alex Armstrong. I'm a second year physiotherapy student here at Brunel. I'm originally from Medway in Kent, meaning I live quite close to Brunel University, but far enough away to live here. I came straight up from completing my A-levels at 6th form, all the way here to Brunel University. It's a bit of a jump, but I made it work. I came, my long-term aspiration, that's a good question. Originally I would have said to be a private MSK physio. That was the basic sort of understanding before I learnt the course. However, after studying the majority of the modules, I personally feel it's impossible for me to make that decision until I've completed the placements and my rotations postgraduate. That's my plan. The selling point of physiotherapy to me is that fact that there are so many disciplines for me to go into. I have the opportunity to work in a wide variety of settings with a wide variety of people, for example, military or inpatients for the elderly or pediatrics. As you can see from the slides, I'm a huge Arsenal fan, and I've included a photo of my pet cat and rabbit from back home, as who doesn't love pets? So, why Brunel? Brunel was my first choice university. I obviously, as you all will be aware, you get 5 options. Since I visited for an open day back in 2014, seems like a long time ago, my initial reason for choosing to visit Brunel is that it's consistently rated first in London for NSS. I thought this is quite an important reason for me, as why it's a university getting such high ratings from its students. And since arriving, I understand why these ratings exist. The reason I fell in love with Brunel is down to multiple reasons, but if I had to narrow it down to 2, they would be the facilities and it's a campus-based university. Firstly, having a campus-based university was perfect for me, as I knew I was going to be living here at university, meaning that everything I required was in walking distance, which is ideal. Also, the facilities on campus, other than the Mary Seagull building Emma just mentioned, consist of everything you can think of. Eating facilities like locos. This serves pub food and acts as our student pub. Yardbird, a Nando's type restaurant, so all you chicken lovers out there. And the social kitchen, which serves a variety of different cuisines. Also, we have a Costa Coffee and Starbucks on campus for those of you requiring your fix of caffeine in the morning for a 9 AM lecture. Most of us dip into this. In terms of exercise facilities, we have 2 gyms on site, an indoor and an outdoor running track, rugby and football pitches, just to name a few, as well as AstroTurf for hockey, indoor climbing wall, indoor halls for futsal, netball, basketball. It's unlimited. As well as this, we have Uxbridge Town Centre, which is roughly a 15 to 20 minute walk away. We can go on a night out to Liquid, have a pub crawl, go clothes shopping, as well as eating out in restaurants. In addition, the location of Brunel University, being on the outskirts of London, is perfect for me. For one, it's cheaper than being in the middle of London, and second, the transport links makes it so easy to get into London. E.g., I can walk into town in about 15 to 20 minutes, jump on the Metropolitan line, and be straight in the centre of London for a few pounds. It's really cheap. Finally, seeing that the physiotherapy department has very high employment rates once graduating was very appealing to me, because I thought, if I'm going on a course to become a physiotherapist, who doesn't want to be employed at the end? So, the physiotherapy course. It takes an extremely hands-on, practical approach to learning. Each module consists of lectures which provide the core content and knowledge needed in these, and then this is developed in the seminars/tutorials, which are practical sessions. Personally, the practical sessions are where I learn best, as I can use my hands to learn. For example, practicing my range of movement techniques or finding specific bony points on my colleagues in anatomy. The main areas we develop in are professionalism, manual handling and clinical reasoning, to name a few, outside of all the modules that we study. Highlights for the course for me? Cool, that's a good question. The course director jumping on a table in our gait lecture to demonstrate the perfect gait. Learning how to operate a wheelchair, going around the whole of university in pairs, or tracing the course of nerves on a skeleton. I love these skeletons. We've called them Fred here, and you get to, basically it is what it says. It's a skeleton, you get to see all the bony points, get to trace the nerves, get to visualise where the muscles would be, rather than just looking at your colleagues the whole time. Okay, there are many opportunities that run alongside the course as an additional learning experience. For example, sports massage and taping courses that run at the university. These are run by an outside agency but are partly funded, and you have to pay an additional cost. I recently attended and completed the most recent sports massage course, which means I'm now a qualified sports masseuse, which is extra benefits because now I can go into gym work as well and do that on the side, as well as my physiotherapy in hospital. In summary, because obviously you want to know what the course is like, The course is not easy, it requires a lot of time and effort, but the workload is manageable, fun, and the knowledge and experience you gain from the course is second to none. Although there is one drawback. I can guarantee you that all the friends that you make here at university or your family back home will be asking you about injury after injury because of this course. But I guess this is another way to get popular. Worked for me. However, you do get the chance to revise outside when it's sunny, as seen in the photo on the top right. Okay, so placement. At Brunel University, we have 5 placements lasting 6 weeks each, starting from the second year. I personally love this structure to the course because it means that before I went on placement, I had learned all the basics and foundations of physiotherapy that I can convert that knowledge into clinical experience. Personally, this is important because I'd have hated to have gone out on placement not knowing my stuff, whereas I feel the lecturers here at Brunel prepared me the best they could for placement. So I've just completed my first placement a couple of weeks ago. I was in a community pediatrics placement working in the neurology and child developmental team. For those of you who don't know what this means, it's basically children extended from babies who were born prematurely, may demonstrate developmental delay or with cerebral palsy, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, very high complex children with acquired brain injuries. Placement for me, I realise, is more than just a chance to be a physiotherapist. It's a 6-week long priceless experience where you learn so much about the clinical world around you and about yourself as a therapist. The most rewarding part about placement was demonstrating all the hard work I'd put into the course up until that moment. So in terms of about a year and a half worth of work, which is a lot of work, I was finally in the role of a physiotherapist where I could show off what I learned, but more importantly, start to treat patients. The most challenging aspect of placement for me was working with complex children. An example of this would be a child with an acquired brain injury, for example post-car crash, who then couldn't move. The aspect I found challenging about this was that I was not able to bring them back to normal function due to the extent of the brain injury. However, my role was to help maintain their well-being and posture, and by doing this, preventing secondary complications. And so this is also a beneficial aspect of the work, as I was doing things that their parents or other family members wouldn't know what to do, and by me doing this, I'm preventing them getting further harm. So without my help in terms of getting the patient into standing, to stretch out their legs, that it's quite common that hips can dislocate, and then this can cause them a lot of pain and further complications further down the line. My clinical educator on placement was a Band 7 physiotherapist with 15 years experience in the field of paediatric therapy. As you can imagine, she was very knowledgeable. What I learned from her was priceless. She helped me with all the patients I saw, helped me develop from a student into a physiotherapist, which from speaking from my other course mates have had similar things about their own clinical educators. At the end of the day, they're there to help us learn, and without them, I wouldn't have got as much out of placement. So I'm just taking a drink. Okay, so sports societies here at Brunel. Firstly, it's important to know that for those of you who enjoy the sport, the university dedicates Wednesday afternoons to sport. Therefore, we have no lectures after 1 p.m. every Wednesday, and sometimes we may even get the Wednesday off. For those of you who aren't huge sports fans, you'll still benefit by getting Wednesday off to relax and catch up on work, or do other clubs through partners such as arts or culture societies. Sport at Brunel is huge and it's getting bigger. We have more sports than I knew ever even existed at a university, around 50. Some of the most common ones are rugby, athletics, netball, but then some of the less common would be calisthenics, ultimate frisbee, mixed martial arts, etc. You can go onto Brunel University website to find a list, A to Z list of all the sports societies we have, and also the arts and culture societies. So, the two sporting societies I am involved in calisthenics and futsal, as you can see. I began calisthenics in my first year. Chances are most of you don't know what calisthenics is, and the best way to describe it to you is give the direct Greek translation, which is beautiful strength. In more general terms, we work out as a massive group using our own body weight to get into shape rather than machine weights or actual dumbbells, etc. So, and we consist of all shapes and sizes. Because of how nice everyone is and how motivating we all are, it's just a great team to work out with. Because I enjoyed calisthenics so much, I decided to join the committee this year, where I became social secretary, organising loads of nights out for the whole society. This is an opportunity that you will be part of in your own societies, where you can then become on the committee either as the president or as a social sec or many other roles. My other sport that I'm involved in is futsal. As some of you may be aware, is indoor five-a-side. I joined this year due to my history of competitive sport in football, but wanted to try something different. That's the thing about Brunel University. We have every sport you can think of, Therefore, if you're exceptional at one sport, we'll have that here. Whereas if you're looking for something different, then we also cover that aspect of giving you the chance to try something new. That's the thing about university. It gives you the chance to try new sports activities and then meet like-minded individuals who can become your friends for life. I've met most of my friends that I'm here at the university now with through my sports. For calisthenics, I train 3 times a week, and for futsal I train once and then play once a week. This, therefore, shows how I can be part of multiple societies as well as managing my physiotherapy course and still have time for a social life. So, social life, this is probably quite important to most of you when selecting a university. From my personal experience, I can tell you that the social life here is amazing. We have a nightclub on campus called Academy and a local club called Liquid in the town centre. This is where you'll find all the sports teams on a Wednesday night after either their triumphs or failures in their sporting events that day. As well as this, we have coach parties to nightclubs in Watford and in central London like Ministry of Sound. Or you can make your own trip into clubs in central, e.g. Fabric, Tiger, etc. with all your friends. However, if clubbing isn't your thing, as I previously mentioned, there's a huge variety of pubs around the university in town if you'd like to have a chilled drink or a pub crawl. And if drinking isn't your thing, then we have a cinema as well as most restaurants in town to satisfy your needs. And that's the thing, being so close to central London, if you have shopping desires, you can go to a new street every day and get more and more stuff. Accommodation. So for those of you looking to live up at university, you have 2 options. You either live on halls or you rent some private accommodation off campus but still close by. For halls or residents, there are many options. One being a studio flat where you have your own bed, bathroom and kitchen, which is the most expensive. Moving towards cheaper options, you have either an ensuite room or a standard room. Both options have a shared kitchen, whereas ensuite rooms have their own bathroom attached at a cost of around £135 a week with all bills included. And then the standard rooms are where you would share a toilet between, I think it's 10 of you, and showers, and then this comes at a smaller fee, but you still have your own rooms yourself. Each of the rooms consists of a bed, desk, chair, chest of drawers, and a cupboard to hang your clothes in. So if you like to sit in your room a lot, then you can. As you can see, the picture on the left is where I live, and the picture on the bottom right is the image of the bathroom and the kitchen. In my first year, I decided to move into halls because accommodation is 100% guaranteed. I thoroughly enjoyed living on campus in halls because the rooms have everything you require, and it's nice having those initial flatmates who become your instant friends throughout university. The standard of living is good. Cleaners clean the kitchen on weekdays and you clean your own rooms. It's a great experience living away from home and being independent by learning to cook and basically care for yourself, which is a whole new experience for those of you who are like me and had always lived with your parents until coming to university. However, it is easily manageable as most of you, upon arrival, will be in a similar situation, or you'll have those who can cook everything and then they can teach you and pass on their knowledge. In second year, where I'm currently renting a 4-bed house, which is about a 10-minute walk from campus, this is a whole different experience alone, as we must take responsibility for the whole house, including caring for bills, taking the bins out, cleaning the whole house, etc. However, it does have its benefits, e.g. I have a massive room with a double bed, and best of all, we have a dishwasher, so that I can be lazy and not have to wash up. Trust me, this is a luxury once you had to wash up for a whole year previously. For university-based accommodation, they do guarantee first-year accommodation, and they say they may not be able to guarantee second and third year placed in halls. However, all of my friends who wanted to live back on campus managed to do so with no issue. So that is an option if you wanted to stay on campus. I hope I have been able to give you all an overview of what it's like to be a student here at Brunel and how joining the physiotherapy team here will be one of the best decisions you'll ever make. The physiotherapy department accommodates everyone's learning needs and strives to allow all students to excel. While studying hard for a course that I love, Brunel has opened so many opportunities for me, from making friends to playing new sports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Alex. That was really interesting as well for me to get a bit of an insight into your life. We've now got some time for questions, so if you have any, then please write them to us and we can read them out. We've got one already actually that's come in from Navdeep, which is asking how many contact hours there are in a week. So, Alex, do you want to answer that one?
Okay, so the typical week would be 9 till 4, Monday to Friday. But as I said, on Wednesdays you have no lectures after 1 o'clock, and sometimes you may get that off. First year, it's definitely 9 till 4, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with the odd maybe missing 2 hours there. When you get to second year, it does come down a little bit, because I'm now currently doing 9 till 4, Monday and Tuesday, 9 till 11, for example, Thursday, and then 9 till 4 Friday. It mixes each week depending on how many lectures and tutorials you have in that module. But it is a very intense course, but you do have time, especially when it gets to exams, where the lectures become thinner in like time, and the tutorials you don't have as many, so that you have more time in your own time to do this sort of work. But there are quite a lot of hours to work a week.
Absolutely. Okay, brilliant. Our next question is from Imogen, who's asking you, Alex, what accommodation would you recommend that she applies for?
I would recommend going for the ensuite rooms. It's always nice to have your own bathroom because you don't have to wait in line. Those who have had the standard accommodation said there's been no issue with that, but for me personally, I like the ensuite, and because you share with members of like 9 or 10, I think it is, to a kitchen, you get that initial friendship group. That's a big worry for me. I thought when I first come into university, am I going to make friends? Because you've got them 9 initial people who are in the same situation, you all sort of club together, you go on nights out, and you just have good fun. So I'd say ensuite, but if you do want to live on university, it is highly recommended from me.
Great, okay. The next question we have is from Lydia, which says, hello, how many students are in a typical physiotherapy class?
Okay, so we have about 80 on the cohort, and we go to lectures as a group of 80, but then we usually split down into 4 groups of 20, and you stay with your whole group for these tutorial sessions, so the seminars where the practical sessions, as I mentioned earlier. So you stick together in your group of 20 throughout the year, and that gets changed in the second year, but you get a mixture of mixing with everyone for the whole 80, and then you go down to the 20s.
Okay, great. Next question we have is from Molly, who says, did you find it a struggle to join in with everyone else, such as your flatmates, considering the demands of the course in comparison to other people who just had a few lectures in a week, especially when first starting?
That's a good question, to be fair. I didn't find it too much of a struggle. It is a bit of a pain sometimes when you're in all day and they're having a few lectures. But the thing you have to realise is that they've got a lot more work to do outside of the course in terms of lots and lots of reading, whereas we still have work to do outside the course, but because we're in, we don't do as much reading as them, reading books after books after books. There's plenty of time, as long as you manage your time, that you have plenty of time to go out with them. I still manage myself to go out on a Wednesday, sometimes, always a Tuesday and always a Friday. So there's 2, maybe 3 days a week, as well as my 4/5 sporting events. So it is easily manageable, and you're not working the whole day. You have to have your breaks, you have your dinner, but close to exam time, everyone, even those on the other courses, are revising, library's packed out, and you'll be working the full day. But it is a bit of a struggle, but as long as you stay on top of your work and get your revision notes from the start, it's not hard to manage your time. Where you're like, I'm going to have a night off tonight, I'm going to go out with my friends, or I'm just going to chill in the kitchen. Whereas if you then do that, maybe the next night you have to just do a bit more work. It's just balancing that work life.
Okay, great. Our next question is from Avni, who says, just in case you miss any lectures, is there any way of catching up with the rest?
Okay, so you should be making and attending all lectures. We do have 100%, or I think you have to get at least 80% attendance in seminars. But lectures, they're really important to go to. I feel that that's where I learn, and then I get all the notes from there, go for it again, then go for it in the practical sessions. But there is a way of getting them back. It's through Panopto, where the lecturers record the lecture online, and then you get to go onto Blackboard and listen to the lecture as if you were there. But I would still recommend that you go to all the lectures.
Absolutely.
You do come.
Good answer, Alex. Now, Lydia is asking how you are assessed.
Multiple ways. So you have practical exams and you have written exams. The course is predominantly practical exams. For your placements, they're practical based. Anatomy, practical. But then you do have some modules, for example, respiratory and neurorehabilitation, where you have a practical exam where you have like a viva or some practice scenarios, and then you'd be followed up with a 2-hour writing exam where you go through a multitude of questions.
Okay. The next question is from Sam, who says, what's the proportion of exam to coursework? You've kind of answered that, but what would you say in terms of proportion-wise?
So in terms of the exams of the coursework?
Yeah, so I suppose practical exams versus any written coursework. We really just have the research proposal in the third year.
Yeah, so currently in the second year, I'm doing research methods where I have 2 written pieces to do, and then in third year we have a research proposal. It's like a mini dissertation. They're the written assignments. I think I only have had 3 written exams, and other than that it must have been about 12 practical exams, roughly. I'm just paraphrasing. So there is a high, it's mainly practical exams, that's all I can say. But if you do well in some, you can do well in others. And the thing with the practical exams, which I really benefit from, is if I go on tangents, which I like to talk a lot for, the lecturers can bring me back and get the answers out, and then I can still score really highly.
Thank you. Now we have another question from Oscar, who says, do we need to bring laptops to lectures?
No, you don't. It's actually, we've got mixed in our lectures. Half of us bring laptops, half don't. You can either print off the lectures beforehand and then write next to them as the lecture's going through them, or just use a notepad and just write things that are added and then go back in your own time, because the lectures are put up before you go into lecture and they're still there after. So you can then go through the lecture in your own time, which is guaranteed, which is recommended, sorry, so that you go through all the content twice and then you go to the practical sessions and then you use this again for your revision. So if you work best typing, then I'd say bring your laptop, but if you work well writing notes down, then you can print it off or just write on notes, sheets of paper.
Okay. Our next question is from Randall, who's asking, is there an interview stage, and if so, how do I prepare? So I'll answer that one. We do have selection days, so once you've sent in an application, we will invite you to a selection day if you meet our criteria. When you come to selection day, you will have to take part in a group interview and a one-to-one interview. They're really quite laid back, and it's a very friendly approach. You will also be asked to write a short essay, which could be on something that's relevant to physiotherapy at that time. What I would say is your best chance of doing well really is to have a good understanding of what physiotherapy is. As Alex has been talking about today, he's just had a placement working with children in pediatrics. I think lots of people sometimes don't know necessarily the breadth of physiotherapy and how many different areas there are. So I would say in preparation, really research the profession and make sure you understand the kind of skills and qualities that you would need to be able to actually become a physiotherapist.
Because it's quite a high intensity course, and at the end of it you're hoping to be a physiotherapist, we sort of want to see that from you in the interviews, because we do offer 2-to-1 interviews where it's a student and a lecturer, and I've just actually recently been taking part in those. And yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those who show that they're going to be a good physiotherapist. They know what they're getting into, so that you don't start the course and then start regretting your decision. So that's why we're hoping that you want to be a physio, and it's a very rewarding course.
Okay. Now Seth asks, are there any rooms that can be booked for group study?
Yeah, so you can contact the admin ladies and they'll book out a room that's free for you at a time, because that is actually highly recommended. You get into study groups and then go through the anatomy, go through the MSK, because for these practical exams there's no point just reading this and this off bits of paper. You need to get in there and practice with your hands. Especially close to exam times, Andrea, the admin lady, she'll send an email out to everyone saying, this room, this room, this room, booked from this time, go along, and you go there and it's absolutely packed because everyone's trying to take advantage of the plimps.
Now, we have another question from Min Sung Kim, who asks, after completing the BSc Physiotherapy, do we receive some kind of certificate of qualification? When you complete the BSc, you will be a qualified physiotherapist, and you will be able to register with the HCPC, which actually enables you to work as a physiotherapist. So yes, you will have a degree in physiotherapy and can work as a physiotherapist. Okay, so I think we're coming towards the end of our questions. I'll just give it a minute. Oh no, sorry. What's the percentage of females and males in the year? That's from Imogen.
Well, that's a good question actually. It's probably about 50-50 nowadays. Yeah, my specific group of 20, I think it's split about 11 girls to 9 boys. Other groups, then it's like 9, 10, 11 the other way. So it's quite an even split, and I like that because I like to just work on different body types, especially seeing as in our practical sessions where we're going through bony points and muscles. everybody's different, and it's best to get that experience of working with other individuals. The lecturers won't let you just stick with your mate. You have to go around all the group, and then they all become your friends. You become confident working on each and individual body, which excels you when you go out on placement and you're working with these elderly or pediatrics or skinny or slightly larger individuals. It just prepares you by doing that sort of work.
Okay, Alexander has asked now, is the degree recognised globally? You mentioned some people had gone to Canada and other parts of the world after the course. So each country will have its own requirements as to what you need to do to go and work there. There will be some countries where you can just show them the transcript of what you've done and it will be recognised. In other countries, they will actually need you to sit some exams. So it really depends on where you want to go, and I would advise you to really look into the different countries and their requirements. But it would be very similar across lots of different physiotherapy programs wherever you studied. That actually is much more dependent on the team. Sorry, I'm reading the next question. Much more dependent on the actual country itself. The next question is from Imogen, who says, "Is there a female football team?"
Yes, there is. There's actually two female football teams. We actually have, for every sport, a male and a female side, even for futsal, even for basketball, volleyball, the lot. We have a male and a female, so whatever sport you are interested in going for, we do have that access.
Can you tell me a bit about futsal?
Okay, yeah, so futsal, indoor football, five-a-side, it's really intense. The best part is university's over winter, and playing football inside keeps me warm. I don't have to worry about going out in the cold, getting wet. I can just play in there. The only bad thing is you get so hot so quick, but because it's so intense, you're rolling on, rolling off subs. It's a very competitive, very tactical game where you've got to keep your formation, you've got to use your own tactics, your free kick tactics, your corner tactics to break down the other team that are probably sitting there defending and then score some goals. And most of the sports here do have competitions, for example, football, futsal, volleyball, the lot, and you compete against other universities. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I played for the futsal team, obviously, and we went over to St Mary's, which is our local rivalry, and we won 11-1, so that was a very good victory, and it was a nice chance to beat our rivals, really. And it's good playing that competitive side rather than just training all the time. It is nice to have that competition, and because you're playing against other university students, you have that sort of age sort of level, and yeah, it's good competition.
Great. Okay. We'll just give you a minute. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to ask now, otherwise we'll wrap up in a minute. So Imogen is asking, which hall did you apply for?
Okay, so when you actually go around to applying for accommodation, you get a whole list of accommodation. You firstly prioritise saying do you want ensuite or standard, and then it will come up with a list of options for you. I chose Bishop's, which I think will still be open for first years, usually is first year, but sometimes certain halls are reserved for third years or second years or first years, etc. And so first year I moved for Bishop's, but they're all pretty decent. They're very nice and up to date, good facilities, and because they're all kept clean each week by the cleaners, there's not a bad word to say about them. And if there are any faulty equipment or anything needs repairing, we have the maintenance guys on site who come and sort it out within the day, or maybe the day after if it's very busy. As well as we have security to cut that on campus, which I know not all universities do have, which is nice. If you have any concerns, you can call them and they'll come, and they just sort of adhere to noise complaints and stuff.
Okay. We've got another question from Avni saying, is there any place for indoor games such as badminton?
Yeah, so on campus we actually have three big indoor halls. The biggest one is where you'd compete in badminton, basketball, volleyball, as well as there's a smaller one where we do netball, where we do futsal. I can't name all the sports, I can't name off the top of my head, but every sport that you want to do indoors, there is space for it. And you also get the chance to rent out some of the rooms if they're not busy. That's what my club does, Calisthenics. We rent one of the rooms out on a Wednesday evening and then Saturday and Sunday mornings, and we get to go compete there. We've just had some bars installed, so that's nice to walk in there and the bar's already there rather than having to set them up.
Okay.
We also have an indoor climbing wall. It's huge, loads of different sort of routes up. You have more difficult routes, you have easier routes. And actually rock climbing's taking over like huge numbers of participants heading along, and they train 2 to 3 times a week, go on trips to, like, on the weekends down to massive rock faces. So it's good fun, and all the societies sort of offer them sort of trips. As well as in Easter holidays, you have, I can't remember the name of it, but all the clubs go away on tour and you play some sporting events and you go drinking out every night. So that'd be good fun for those of you like social and sport.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Alex, for
Thank
your
you.
time today and talking to us all. If anyone has any more questions, then you can always contact me. You can find my details on the physiotherapy webpage. So that's Emma Farquharson. And if you wanted to speak to any of our ambassadors, you can send questions into me and I can forward it on to some of our students as well. I'm sure Alex would be happy to answer any other questions. But thank you very much for taking the time listening today. Goodbye. Bye.